The Crevasian hunting grounds stretched across 3 moons, each one carefully terraformed to house the galaxy's most dangerous predators. For centuries, the elite of a dozen species had come here to prove their worth against creatures that could shred starship hulls with their claws. The ultimate prize was always the same, a chance to face the Drathkar. Commander Zethus of the Avalon Council adjusted his ceremonial armor as he watched the human delegation disembark from their transport. The humans had been accepted into the Galactic Council only 50 standard years ago, barely a blink in cosmic terms, yet they insisted on participating in the Great Hunt like seasoned warriors. "You are certain about this?" Zethus asked the human ambassador, Dr. Elena Vasquez. "The Drathkar has killed 43 of our finest hunters. Even our Krillian warriors, with their reinforced exoskeletons and plasma weaponry, have fallen to it." Dr. Vasquez smiled, her expression calm despite the gravity of the situation. "Our representative is prepared, Commander. We appreciate your concern, but humans have our own way of handling things." Zethus looked at the human who would attempt the hunt. Marcus Chen appeared unremarkable by galactic standards. No natural armor plating, no venomous fangs, no energy projection capabilities. He stood barely 6 feet tall, his build lean but muscular, wearing nothing but simple hunting attire and carrying no weapons whatsoever. "Where is his equipment?" Zethus inquired. "Surely he will need plasma rifles, energy shields, at minimum a neural disruptor." "He has everything he needs," Marcus replied quietly, flexing his fingers. The other hunters, a towering Vraxian with 4 arms, a cybernetically enhanced Cathari, and a psychic Mindaran, exchanged glances that clearly communicated their skepticism. They had trained for decades, augmented their bodies with the finest technology, studied the beast's patterns. This human appeared to have done none of those things. The hunt began at dawn. The Drathkar's territory occupied the entire northern continent of the third moon, a landscape of crystalline forests and methane geysers, where even the air could kill most species without proper protection. The creature itself was a nightmare of evolution. 30 feet of armored hide, 6 legs ending in talons that could cut through titanium, and a maw filled with rows of regenerating teeth. Its hide had adapted to absorb energy weapons, making conventional firearms nearly useless. The other hunters moved in formation, their sensors sweeping for signs of their quarry. Marcus walked alone, his pace unhurried, stopping occasionally to examine scratches on the crystal trees or test the direction of the toxic wind. The Vraxian found it first. His triumphant roar echoed across the wasteland just before it transformed into a death scream. The cybernetic Cathari lasted longer, her enhanced reflexes allowing her to dodge the initial strike. But the Drathkar's tail caught her in the second attack, sending her crashing through a grove of crystal spires. The Mindaran attempted to dominate the creature's mind, but the Drathkar's consciousness was too alien, too primal. It tore through his psychic defenses like tissue paper and ended his life with a single bite. By midday, only Marcus remained. Commander Zethus monitored the hunt from orbit, watching through surveillance drones as the human tracked the beast through increasingly treacherous terrain. The Drathkar seemed to sense his approach, its movements becoming more agitated, more aggressive. It had tasted easy victory and now stalked its final prey with predatory confidence. "He should retreat," Zethus muttered to his aide. No shame in recognizing an impossible task. But Marcus pressed forward, following the creature's trail to its lair, a massive cavern system carved from living crystal. The Drathkar waited in the central chamber, its eyes glowing with bioluminescent fury, saliva dripping from fangs that could puncture starship armor. The confrontation began with the beast's characteristic charge, a display of raw power that had ended every previous hunt. 30,000 pounds of engineered death hurtled toward the lone human at speeds that defied the creature's massive size. Marcus moved, not with the jerky mechanical precision of cybernetic enhancement or the supernatural speed of alien physiology, but with a fluid grace that seemed to bend the very laws of physics. He slipped past the creature's talons by millimeters, his hands finding purchase on the armored hide as the Drathkar's momentum carried it past him. What happened next defied every observer's understanding of combat dynamics. Instead of trying to pierce the creature's hide or find some vulnerable spot, Marcus simply held on. As the Drathkar thrashed and bucked, trying to dislodge him, the human moved with its motions, never fighting the creature's strength directly but redirecting it, channeling it, using it against itself. The battle lasted 7 hours. Marcus never struck a blow in the conventional sense. Instead, he gradually worked his way toward the creature's center of balance, his hands finding nerve clusters that no scanner had detected, pressure points that existed not in anatomy text but in the fundamental mechanics of how living things moved. Slowly, inexorably, the Drathkar's movements became less coordinated. Its roars turned from rage to confusion, then to something approaching fear. This small, soft creature was doing something impossible, not overpowering the beast but teaching it that its own strength was meaningless. When the end came, it was almost gentle. The Drathkar, exhausted by its own fury, simply lay down. Marcus maintained his hold for several more minutes, whispering something too quiet for the surveillance equipment to capture, before finally releasing his grip. The galaxy's strongest beast rose slowly, looked at the human for a long moment, then walked calmly to the far end of the chamber and lay down again, this time to sleep. Commander. Zethus stared at the monitoring screens in silence for several minutes before opening a communication channel to the council chambers on Avalon Prime. The human has completed the hunt, he reported. Excellent, came the reply. Transmit the biological data from the Drathkar's carcass for study. Commander, Zethus said carefully, there is no carcass. The creature is alive and unharmed. The silence that followed stretched across 17 light years. I don't understand, the council member finally replied. How does one complete the great hunt without— The human didn't kill the Drathkar, Zethus interrupted. He convinced it to surrender. Later, as Marcus emerged from the cavern system, Dr. Vasquez was waiting with a medical team and environmental suits. She helped him into the protective gear before asking the question that the entire galaxy would soon be demanding an answer to. How? Marcus was quiet for a long moment, watching the crystal formations catch the light of the triple sunset. On Earth, he said finally, we have a saying, the strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire. But we also know that the hottest fire isn't always the one that burns brightest. Sometimes the most powerful force in the universe is knowing when not to use force at all. He looked back toward the cavern where the Drathkar rested peacefully for the first time in its violent existence. Every creature in this galaxy has been trying to prove they're stronger than everything else. But strength isn't about dominating others. It's about understanding them well enough that domination becomes unnecessary. The news spread through the galaxy within hours. A human had defeated the Drathkar without weapons, without technology, without even violence. The creature that had killed dozens of the galaxy's finest warriors had been subdued by nothing more than patience, understanding, and 2 bare hands guided by a mind that saw solutions where others saw only problems. The great hunt was quietly suspended indefinitely. After all, how do you follow an act like that?